everybody. Welcome to Locker Room. I'm your host, Justin Lindler, and I'm joined by Jake Homan for the second week in a row, and I'm also joined by one of the hosts of Capital City Sports Zone Spurs Up. Thank you guys for joining me. So let's just get right into it. So the NBA season, we're about half a month in, played 8-9 games into the season. What teams have surprised you? What teams are disappointing you, really? Jack, we'll start with you.
As far as disappointment goes, the West is just – both divisions are kind of being a little disappointing with the teams you saw in the playoffs last year.
Yeah.
But, I mean, especially the West, you see, the Rockets, they've won a game against the Lakers, who are another disappointment, all the hype they had over the, offseason. The Thunder, they're always I honestly don't want to say they're disappointment because they tend to come back and late, late in the season, kind of like the Seahawks in the NFL. They kind of do kind of bad, and then they start to hold their own, but they're still a little bit of a disappointment. And then, as a surprise or as a disappointment in the East, I mean, the Wizards are horrible. The Hawks, I never think that they're going to be good, but it just leaves room for, anyone else in that division to do really well.
Yeah.
Surprises, I guess I would say, the Nuggets, of course.
Yeah, where'd they come from?
They came out of nowhere with 7 wins, only 1 loss. I mean, they're second in the West right now with practically no talent. I mean, no really big names that you would think of.
They don't have a superstar.
No.
They have good players, but they don't have a superstar.
And that's what you need in the NBA. You need 1 or 2,
Yeah.
superstars to do anything.
Right.
I mean, it's the same with, I'm not saying it's going to be it's a surprise, but in the East, Milwaukee, they're dominating. And I think Greek Freak is the sole reason for that. They've built a little bit around him, but I think he's definitely doing the most for that team. Other than that, I'm going to be a little biased. I think the Hornets are definitely a completely different team than they were last year, and that's surprising to me because especially if you're a longtime Hornets fan, you never want to put any emphasis on the first 2 weeks because they tend to teeter out. But even the games they've lost have only been by 1 or 2 points.
Right. I think getting rid of Steve Clifford was the best move that organization's made in a while.
And see, I never thought it was his fault. I thought there was just more of a lack of our bench or just a lack of being able to stay in close games with certain, the older players we have. But, I mean, Tom Borrego, he's doing something right.
Yeah.
I mean, Kemba's been scoring 20-plus points a night. I mean, he's been almost leading the league.
Yeah.
I mean, you even see, Malik Monk and Devontae Graham, he's in the G League now, but, Malik Monk and Miles Bridges, they're showing a lot of impact as younger players, especially Monk, because he wasn't doing a whole lot last year. Now he's starting to take his own.
Yeah.
But that's about as far for me as far as surprises go and disappointments. I think the East is always – you always seem to see that same slew of about 8 teams, but now it's kind of – the surprise is going to be where they kind of fall in the standings. Because you see right now, the Raptors, the Celtics, the Bucks, they're all kind of holding up that top 3, but everything else is kind of just up in the air.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see, as far as – it's such a long season. I mean, up until the – you can't really confirm anything up until the All-Star break, really.
Yeah, I mean, it's only November.
Exactly.
It's November 2nd. We've got a while. Jake, what about you?
I'm going to go ahead and say the disappointments, I would say, are Houston right now with only 1 win through 6 games. And the Lakers...
It wasn't even a home game.
Right.
They lost on the road. Or they won on the road in Los Angeles.
The Lakers, though, I would classify them as a disappointment just because of LeBron James. And everybody expects LeBron James to immediately have an impact on the team. But we can't forget that when he was in Miami, it was the exact same slow start. He needs time to get comfortable and organizational with all the players and everything. And with Miami, he didn't even win the championship their first season. They had lost to Dallas.
Yeah,
so it took him at least 2 years to capture a championship in that city. That's what he's here for. But
I wouldn't qualify the Lakers really as a disappointment necessarily. The team is so young. LeBron is the oldest player on the team, and he's 33, 34, something like that.
33.
But just all the offseason hype, and there was a stat. LeBron had not gone 0-3 since his, second or third year in Cleveland?
Since 04, yeah.
Yeah, it was since 04. So, as far as just, you kind of expected them, it was what the offseason was for them, it was Showtime Lakers were back. It was all these players around LeBron. That was what the hype had been built up to. So, they definitely still have some time, and I think they will start to get the ball rolling, for lack of better words.
Just last season, Cleveland had early season struggles. And,
that's true.
And made the NBA Finals. They got swept, but they made the Finals.
I say they didn't win a game, but...
And they played probably one of the best teams in NBA history, so not many people would get a win on those guys.
Right. And the 2 teams that I selected as my surprises right now are in the West, which is Denver, we had stated before, and Sacramento, who's actually 5 in a row right now. They've got a young squad. I really like De'Aaron Fox and Marvin Bagley. De'Aaron Fox actually posted a 30-point triple-double last night. Which youngest player to ever do so, younger than Magic and MJ. So
Yeah.
very historical, I guess, in that context. But
Good, big night for him.
with Denver, they've got Nikola Jokic, Paul Millsap, and Jamal Murray all playing really well right now.
Yeah.
And I think it's the main reason why they're up at top.
Yeah.
I think another thing we actually didn't talk about, just because not as a surprise of because it's the Spurs.
Right.
They lost the majority of their talent. I mean, pretty much all of them. Their whole big three is all gone now. So, and the names that they have on the team now aren't really that well known. So, but just the fact that they're staying, because I think they're like 5th or 6th in the West right now.
They're fourth.
Fourth. Yeah.
They're
so
fourth.
they are. I mean, they're still continuing. I mean, you got Popovich, so it's not like it's a surprise. But
Yeah.
I mean, just the fact that they're able to keep that level of success this early on.
Yeah, just to be able to avoid all that off-season drama with Kawhi Leonard and a bunch of their guards went down with injuries in the off-season, so there was a lot of panic around. But these guys are really holding their own, and it's been impressive to me. Just goes to show what kind of coach Greg Popovich really is.
Exactly.
We'll just move on into the NFL. We've reached the halfway point now of the season, unfortunately. So speaking of, so if the season were to end today, who would you guys, like right now, put as your MVP?
And that's a tough one. You always want to kind of start with the quarterbacks. I mean, there's obviously always the obvious choices. In my mind, I think that I want to see how he does in the playoffs, but Mahomes has obviously shown that he is a insane quarterback as far as just talent goes.
Yeah.
He doesn't have any playoff experience, but I definitely think, and as far as the problem with the Chiefs, is that they're always one of the best teams in the regular season, and then they get to that playoffs, and that's when they start to teeter off. I mean, losing to the Titans in the wild card round last year. And then, so I want to see how Mahomes does in that, in the playoffs, because I'm going to say right now they're going to make it. I don't think anyone on the West or in that division, other than maybe the Chargers, has a chance to dethrone them. But I mean, my pick right now, because I think that he's just the only reason the team is even still in the running for anything, is Aaron Rodgers. The Packers have nobody. They have an aging Jimmy Graham. They have Devontae Adams, who can be somewhat slept on, but I still don't think he'd be a starter on any other team. I mean, they just lost Ty Montgomery, who was a wide receiver playing running back. So if that tells you anything, their defense is lackluster. I mean, when was the last time anyone even said Clay Matthews' name? When was the last time he even did anything?
When he fell on a quarterback.
Exactly. So, I mean, Aaron Rodgers is the only reason that team is still putting up points. I mean, he had to do a lot to beat the 49ers, but then he comes back the next week and keeps them in the game against the Rams the whole night. I mean, if Ty Montgomery doesn't fumble that kickoff, they win. I mean, it's a 2-minute drill. Aaron Rodgers, that's classic.
Yeah.
That's all he has to do. So in my mind, if you're talking about most valuable player, single player for a team, not just, the success of the team or his individual stats, it's Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah. What about you, Jake?
I'm going to have to actually go with Patrick Mahomes. It's so hard to say or to give this type of player an MVP because this is his first year starting.
Yeah.
This is his first year anybody has ever seen what he can do on the field. Whereas opposed to Aaron Rodgers and other MVP candidates like Drew Brees, we know what type of play they can get.
You almost expect them to be in contention every
exactly.
season.
So if they're better than you expected, then you know that it's possibly one of their best seasons, which would clarify them as the most valuable player in that type of area. But I mean, like with Mahomes, he's got 28 touchdowns right now.
Yeah.
That's 26 passing, 2 rushing, but he's accounted for almost 30 touchdowns for his entire team this season, only through 8 games?
Yeah,
I mean,
8 games through.
That's phenomenal. Like
They might have only played 7. I think they might have had a bye in there somewhere. I could be wrong.
no. I don't
No,
think
okay.
so.
They're 7-1 right now? Okay.
No, yeah, 7-1.
Well, that's the argument that I don't like about most valuable player is that it's not about. I mean, yes, the team should be successful, but as far as like personal stats, like everyone says Todd Gurley.
Yeah.
I don't like that because the whole Rams organization is doing something right. They are all. I mean, their front 7 is unreal. Their wide receivers are maybe a bit mediocre, but I mean they're still performing really well. And I mean Goff is doing exactly what you expected, and then with the coach there doing everything that he's doing. I mean Todd Gurley is putting up insane numbers every week. But I don't think that if he were putting up those numbers, I don't think that the Rams would be doing any worse.
They might have like 1 or 2.
They might have 1 loss. I mean, and Gurley's definitely able to kind of push their momentum and keep their offense going as fast as it needs to be. But I think when it comes to, it's someone like Aaron Rodgers or Drew Brees where they're the main, they're the sole reason that team is doing so well. I mean, you could say, again, with a little bit of bias, you could say Cam Newton should be MVP candidate every year because with the offense that he has around him, the Panthers shouldn't be doing anything. I mean, they finally got, with injuries and, just horrible receivers and not being able to catch anything. I mean, you would think. So that's like when he won the MVP in 2015, it was because His wide receivers were Devin Funchess, Jericho Cotchery, Philly Brown,
Yeah.
Ted Ginn, and an injured Greg Olsen for the beginning of the season. So I think it's more about how that one player can impact the success of their team. Like, I don't like J.J. Watt being, defensive MVP candidate or even MVP candidate because, yes, he's doing well, but the Texans have made the playoffs twice since he's been there, maybe.
Yeah.
And that might be
Yeah.
highballing it. So, and I get their stats in themselves are insane, but if you're talking about most valuable player to a team and their success, then I think it should be about how that team performs.
Yeah.
And that might just be a personal thing, but that's why I don't like, Todd Gurley. I still think Mahomes is obviously, he definitely has, Tyreek Hill, Kareem Hunt, Travis Kelce, but you could see that he's still putting up insane numbers.
Yeah.
So I think come playoff time, that's when we really know where he's going to stand.
I mean, he's putting up numbers. Like, he broke Kurt Warner's record for most touchdowns through 7 games. So, I mean, we can talk about Kurt Warner, a Hall of Famer, a Super Bowl champion, Mahomes being a first-year player. That's not many players that can say they can do that,
He's definitely doing something right.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, thank you guys for joining me today. That's all we got time for. I really appreciate you guys coming on. You're welcome back anytime.
Love having
I
him.
said thanks for having us.
Yeah, no problem. Well, I've been Justin Lindler, Jack Taylor, Jake Homan, and thank you for joining us in Locker Room this week. We'll be back next week with more stuff to talk about. So thank you guys for joining us.